Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Zillin, and today I have for you 15 awesome tips for those of you who are getting started in Icarus. Now, this video is aimed more at the beginner level. This is kind of some basic stuff that is, kind of helpful to know right when you get started. If you're one of the more advanced players, you were playing part of the beta, or you've already gotten pretty far in the game, don't worry, I do have a video coming out soon with more advanced tips that are a little more for the mid to end game. And I also have several standalone videos coming out with specific topics like how to deal with bears or how to deal with cave worms. So be on the lookout for those. Otherwise, those of you who are new, let's get on with the 15 tips. Number one is there are solo perks in the game. When you level up, you get talent points to spend, and there's this solo tree over here. And even though it very clearly spells out here for you that this only works when you're on the planet by yourself, I still have several friends in my friend group, my play group, that didn't realize this and were taking solo perks even though we play a lot together. So just keep this in mind. These solo perks, they're awesome. The reason they look really powerful is because they're designed to help you play the game by yourself. Obviously, if you're playing in a group, you don't want to take these talents or take very few of them. Like I have a few on my main character that I use for my group play, but that's because I do spend a fair amount of time on my own, and then my friends all get home from work and they join. Tip number two, guy, is don't get seasoned, which I think is a pretty funny name. Over here in the survival perks in the resources section, if you scroll down here, there's one called Seasoned Logsman right here. Chopped wood is automatically added to your inventory, which sounds really cool. It isn't annoying to sit there and try to collect all that stuff. As far as I know, that perk is bugged, has been since early in the beta, and still isn't fixed. I've seen some people complaining about it on the Discord. So for now, until further notice, don't spend points for this. Don't go chasing after that one, although it does seem really cool. Tip number three has to do with Oxide. The very first thing you want to do when you get down on the planet is get yourself some Oxide. That way you're not running out of oxygen. You have plenty of oxygen to breathe. The lore behind that is basically that the planet is poisonous, so you have to have your helmet on at all times, and so obviously you're going to run out of oxygen quickly. So you want to get yourself some Oxide. But the big thing is a lot of people come in here to the inventory and right click and consume as needed, and that works. But what you can actually do is drag that Oxide over into this oxygen spot right here, this oxygen slot, and that will just consume it as needed and keep you topped up, and you can put stacks of 50 in there. Later on, you'll get oxygen tanks and stuff like that you can put in there, and they last a lot longer than just purely grabbing the Oxide like that. And speaking of slots, guys, something I've seen a lot of people not understanding is you actually have stomach slots. You have 3 of them, and people aren't catching on to that. So when you consume food, it goes down into these 3 stomach slots you have here. I've only got 2 filled with the cooked meat and the cooked carrot, and it tells you what benefits. This one's plus 75 max health and 20% health regen, plus 75 max stamina, and plus 5% projectile damage. And there's a 3rd slot you can have, and there's actually a perk that lets you get a 4th slot, but that's way down the line. So make sure you're keeping all 3 slots full at all times and looking at all the different food types and figuring out what's the best type for you to use to, gear your character towards what you want your character to be. Lots of, high health, high damage, or whatever. Tip number 5 is actually when you're running around and you're trying to get to different locations, be picking plants. Number 1, you get experience for every time you gather something, you get a little bit of experience. You're already traveling. Most of the time your inventory is not full. Be picking plants while you're doing it. And then second off, as an added bonus to that, you can come in here and go to crafting and just queue up a bunch of, let's say, bandages, and they give experience for you making those 80 experience per bandage, and it's for stuff that you're already gathering as you're running. It's a really good way to to speed up your leveling in the early game whenever the levels are coming pretty fast, and it can help out quite a bit with that. Tip number 6, while we're on the subject of bandages, basic bandages do not heal you. People make that mistake all the time. They actually get rid of a status effect. Basically, when you get lacerations and stuff from things that you're fighting, it gets rid of that status effect. That status effect actually has negative attributes to it, so it makes things worse for you, and if you leave it unhealed, it can get even worse and even worse. So you definitely want to heal it. So even though bandages don't heal you, you do want to take the engram anyways. Just keep in mind that making a whole bunch of them and try to use them in combat, it's not going to help you. While we're in the tech tree, guys, tip number 7, ignore thatch entirely. This right here is a huge wasted section of the tech tree. There's nothing in here that provides any value whatsoever. These things will just get blown right over with no effort. So yeah, ignore thatch, guys. You don't, just go right to wood. Wait till level 5. You may have to spend your first night without shelter, but ignore thatch. Tip number 8 is that you are going to live your life with a bow in this game. Guns, you can have guns, but they take quite a while to get to, and most missions can be done without them. So you're going to live life with a bow, so just kind of get used to it. Take some of the perks that are associated with bow usage, all that sort of thing. Get used to having a bow. And while we're at it, tip number 9 is that this game has what my friends and I have lovingly started calling the Patriot arrows. They're kind of heat-seeking or target-seeking arrows. You don't necessarily have to hit exactly what you're trying to hit. And let me see if I can show you here. Let me get down into stealth, and if you aim over the head of what you want to hit and let go, it kind of automatically seeks the head. You don't have to be dead on accurate every time you go to hit one of these things. Also, while we're at it, knives, especially stone knives, take a lot of damage when you use them to skin, and so they can break. And then when they can break, you have a situation where you're skinning something, and then another wolf, comes up to you while you're in the middle of skinning it, and boom, your knife's broken, and now you don't have stuff to repair it, or if you do repair it, it takes your stamina away, and you're about to die. The best thing to do in that situation is to swap to your axe or your pickaxe and use that as a weapon. It works. You could kill most of the time. You can kill a wolf with that unless you're already pretty injured. If it's a bear, run, because it's not going to go well for you. But if it does break, that you can switch to that, and that is actually tip number 10. Tip number 11 is that all water sources except for the rain reservoir, which I believe is in tier 2 right here, all water sources except for the rain reservoir have a chance to give you dysentery. So there you go. I just got it to 299 seconds of dysentery. Let's go look and see what that debuff does. Minus 50% nutrition from food. So, you won't feel your hunger bar up as quickly while you have dysentery. One of the cool things about that is if you get the canteen or the water scan or anything like that you can go ahead and put in your water slot, which will not be available to you at the beginning, but as you get better suits, you will have a water slot. You can fill it up with the lake, and that initial drink has a possibility to give you dysentery, but then after that, you can sip on this all day long, and it will never give you dysentery again. So get that thing as quickly as you can so that you don't have a chance of getting dysentery. Tip number 12, for those of you guys who have played Valheim, this game requires that you brace up and put these pillars in between the seams, and you can actually hold down R and change the direction that they're going, and put them up here and stuff like that. You have to brace up your home in this game when the winds start whipping up real bad and some of the worst weather effects start happening. It will tear your home apart, your base apart while you're away, or even while you're in it, and that's obviously bad, but it can make a big difference if you brace them up like this, and that also allows you to build bigger, just like it does in Valheim. Also, while we're on the subject of your house getting torn apart, you are absolutely going to want to, I may not have already done it on this character, you are absolutely going to want to take the repair hammer recipe. Even if you think, whatever, I'm just going to build a home and I'm not going to spend much time here. There's going to be storms that come along. There's going to be a space you forgot to brace up. You're going to think it was strong enough, but it's not, and your base is going to start getting ripped apart. Just go ahead and bite the bullet and get the repair hammer and keep one on you at all times, or at very least in a chest near your base or in your base, because you're going to need the repair hammer. All right, guys. So tip number 14 is that inventory benches or crafting benches have inventory space. This is just a campfire, so it's not the best example. It's only a few spaces here, but the other ones, the crafting bench, the textiles bench, the masonry bench, carpentry bench, all of these benches that you're going to start unlocking at about level 10 have lots and lots of inventory space in them. So there's not really a purpose to spend your storage points on any of those early storage options. If you're going to put storage down at all, I would suggest waiting until tier 2 and getting this wood cupboard here. It takes up less space and has way more storage options or maybe storage slots in it. The deal is, obviously, it's tier 2, so you got to get to level 10. And then also, it takes copper nails, so it's a little bit further into the tech tree. But usually you'll have copper nails within 30 minutes of landing on a planet once you've kind of got the system down. So don't worry about storage so much, especially buying these tier 1 storage options over here, the small wood crate and the medium wood crate. They're not really worth it. Put it all in your storage benches. Number 15, guys, you can largely ignore storms in the early part of this game. I know that you know the video that they put out recently with called Fatal Sky, they made storms seem like they're a really, really big deal, and they're just really not. You can see my storm exposure is going up very slow. I could have stayed out for this entire storm, and maybe my storm exposure would have gotten all the way to maximum, but it wouldn't have been enough to kill me or even really hurt me or cause me any significant issues. As you get further and further into the game, storms do become a big deal, but early on, guys, you can just ignore storms and just keep on doing what you're doing. You don't have to go seek shelter every time. That's all I got for today, guys. I really hope one of these tips really helped one of you guys out. If you did hear something in this video that you didn't already know, that really surprised you, think is going to really help you, let me know down in the comments section below, and look out for more videos on my channel about Icarus, Myth of Empires, and other survival games. I'll see you guys in the next one.